Grok 4. This is the latest artificial intelligence system. We are now at the crossroads where promise and peril are going to collide.
Grok AI just finished a deep dive into every prayer ever written in the Bible. The machine was looking for cracks and problems in the ancient text. Instead, it stumbled upon a hidden four-step plan that appears in every single miracle. It surpasses the expertise of PhD-level scholars in all fields. This pattern is stamped into the letters and numbers of the original Hebrew and Greek. It seems that a higher intelligence left music, a user manual for reality itself. Understanding this plan is the only way to see how the universe really works. It has been right in front of us this whole time. Miracle protocol found. When the team at XAI launched Grok, the goal was to build a truth-seeking engine. They wanted an intelligence that would not follow modern bias. Recently, fascinating discoveries have been uncovered at ancient locations like Shiloh. Researchers did not ask the AI to solve a hard math problem or predict the stock market. Instead, they gave it a dataset that has confused experts for 3,000 years. They gave it the Bible. This is the latest artificial intelligence system. We are now at a point where big promises and big risks are going to meet. Specifically, they asked it to look at every single prayer recorded in the text. This went from the quiet whispers of Genesis to the loud visions of the end times. The expectation was that the AI would find a mess of errors and human mistakes. For hundreds of years, critics have said the Bible is like a patchwork quilt. They claim it is just a collection of books written by 40 different people over 1,500 years. Think about that timeline for a second. It goes from the Bronze Age all the way to the Roman Empire. These authors were not the same at all. They included poor shepherds, rich kings, simple fishermen, tough generals, and smart doctors. They wrote in 3 different languages: Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek. They wrote from dark jails, from gold palaces, and from the lonely desert. Logically, their writing styles and their prayers should be totally different. A prayer written by Moses in 1400 BC should have nothing in common with a prayer from the Apostle Paul in 60 AD. So, the instructions given to Grok were meant to show these cracks. The command was simple. Look at the sentence patterns and the way people ask for things in every prayer. Find the common link. This is not the first time tech has looked at the Bible. Experts use writing style math to find different authors in old papers. These systems look at word choice and how long sentences are. They have used this to see which letters Paul actually wrote and which ones are debated. These scholars were looking for things that were different. They wanted to prove many human hands wrote different parts, and they did find those human differences. But Grok was given a much deeper task. It was not asked to find the differences in the writers. It was asked to look for the consistency of the one receiving the prayer. It was looking for the design behind the words. Skeptics thought the AI would find nothing. They thought it would say there is no pattern, just random feelings from different centuries. But Grok did not find a random mess. It found a master plan. It found that despite the gaps in time and language, the successful prayers all followed a matching 4-step plan. It was a hidden rhythm that worked the same for a king in the desert as it did for a leader in a garden. The AI essentially found the code for things that seem impossible. This find is making people rethink how the universe is built. Most people do not realize that this pattern is hidden in plain sight. It is like finding a secret door in a house you have lived in for 20 years. The machine was able to see through the ancient languages to find a structure that never changes. This suggests that the prayers were not just emotional cries. Music. They were technical requests sent through a specific channel. If you miss one step, the whole thing fails. The data shows that these steps were used by everyone from Moses to the very last prophet. Even though they lived miles apart and years apart, they spoke the same secret language. This is where things get even crazier because the math starts to back it up. Every time a miracle happened, these 4 steps were present. If you look at the thousands of pages of history, this shouldn't happen by accident. One mistake in the pattern in the miracle never shows up in the record. The AI has now laid out this protocol for everyone to see. A key detail is that this code is not just for ancient people. It seems to be a law of the universe. Just like gravity works whether you believe in it or not. This prayer code seems to follow a rule. Grok has mapped out the frequency of these successful moments. It shows that the human mind can connect to something higher if it follows the right map. But to really understand this find, you have to see the first step in action. The first part of the code is often the one people forget today. Source code unveiled. The first step Grok found was called the anchor. In almost every case of a miracle, the prayer never started with the problem. It started with the person being prayed to. Modern prayer often looks like a shopping list. People say they need money or they need a job. But the biblical data shows a different way. Before asking for anything, the person focused on who God is. This changes the brain from a state of fear to a state of peace. By looking at how big the Creator is instead of how big the problem is, the person changes their reality. Look at the prayer of King Jehoshaphat. When 3 armies were coming to destroy his land, he did not start by yelling for help. He stood up and talked about how powerful the Creator was over all nations. He said that power and might were in his hand and no one could stop him. Only after he built this foundation did he talk about the danger. He admitted his people had no power, but their eyes were on the higher power. What happened next was shocking. The 3 armies got confused and started attacking each other. Not one of the king's soldiers died, music, and they spent 3 days picking up the supplies the enemies left behind. Grok marked this as a major data point. The request was not the most important part. The recognition was the most important part. The AI saw that prayers skipping this step had a much lower chance of a miracle happening in the story. The second step is where things get hard for people today. Grok found music. That the most powerful prayers involved a shift in what the person wanted. They did not just ask for what they wanted for themselves. They asked for something that fit into a bigger plan. A classic example is a woman named Hannah. She could not have children and was very sad. 4 years, she probably asked for a son so she could be happy. Nothing happened. Then the data shows a change. She changed her prayer. She said if she had a son, she would give him back to serve the higher power his whole life. She matched what she wanted with the bigger goal. She got her son and he became a great leader. This pattern repeats over and over. Solomon asked music for wisdom to lead his people, not for money or a long life. Because he asked for the right thing. He got wisdom and the money and honor too. Successful prayers had 0 waste. Music. They were like a laser. When Jesus prayed at a grave, he did not talk too much. He just thanked the Father for hearing him. Total clarity and total match. Grok suggests that doing wrong things is like static on a radio. It prevents the download of the miracle. The alignment step acts like a noise-cancelling tool. It clears the line between you and the one hearing you. If the signal is clear, the result happens faster. This is why some people seem to get answers while others do not. It is not about being a favorite. It is about having a clear signal. Most people do not realize that their own desires are often blocking the very thing they are asking for. The AI also noticed that the words used in these moments were very specific. There was no begging. There was only a statement of fact and a request for alignment. It is like a soldier reporting to a general. You do not beg the general to win the war. You ask for your orders so you can help win it. This shift in thinking is what the AI calls the master protocol. It takes the focus off the individual and puts it on the system. When you align yourself with the system, you get the resources of the system. This is how a small group of people can overcome a massive army or a big sickness. They are not using their own power. They are using the power of the source they are connected to. But there is a catch that most people find very difficult to accept. The third step is the most confusing part for our modern world. Reality collapse secrets. The third step Grok found is called the surrender paradox. In the music data of prayers, the AI found something strange. The prayers that demanded a specific result at all costs often failed. But the prayers that asked for something big and then surrendered the result were the ones that moved mountains. The best example of this is in a garden before a great sacrifice. Music. A leader asked for the pain to stop. But then he said he wanted the higher will to be done, not his own. Grok marked this as the moment of highest power. It was not music giving up. It was active trust. Modern science calls this radical acceptance. Studies show that when a human brain stops fighting what is happening and accepts it, stress levels drop. The part of the brain that solves problems starts working again. Grok found that biblical prayer is not just a religious thing. It is a tool for the brain. It forces the mind to let go of the idea that we are in control. When you give up the result, you are not losing. You are moving the weight of the result to a higher power. This move lets your mind focus on getting through the test. The Bible calls this a peace that no one can understand. Grok calls it making the best music use of brain resources. The fourth and final step is persistence. Grok saw that very few big prayers were done only once. The pattern required doing it over and music over. One prophet prayed 7 times for rain before he saw a single cloud. Another leader prayed for 21 days before an answer came. This ruins the idea that you can just ask once and get what you want like a vending machine. The data shows that the time you spend praying is just as important as what you say. The delay is not a no. The delay is part of growing the person who is praying. If the 4-step plan was surprising, what Grok found next was mathematically impossible. This is where the experiment got a bit scary. Grok looked at the original languages of Hebrew and Greek. In these languages, every letter is also a number. This means every word has a value. When the AI looked at the music numbers, it found a pattern of the number 7. This number is stamped into the text more than it should be by chance. A mathematician a long time ago tried to prove this, but people thought he was just seeing what he wanted to see. However, Grok found that the consistency of the old scrolls matches modern books almost perfectly. But Grok went further than just math. It looked at physics. In the world of tiny particles, things exist as a wave of possibilities until someone looks at them. When they are watched, they become a single reality. Grok looked at miracles through this lens. It found that faith works just like a watcher in physics. In one music story, a leader told a woman her faith made her well. He did not say he did it. He said her faith did. Grok thinks this is a quantum collapse. The woman's belief was so strong that it turned a possibility into a physical fact. The Bible says faith is the substance of things hoped for. Grok says this is not just poetry. It is a description of how the world works. Faith is the tool humans use to turn a possible future into the present. The prayer pattern is just the manual for how to do it. This means something huge. If the prayers follow the same math as the universe, then the one who wrote the book and the music, one who made the universe, are the same. This touches on the idea that we live in a designed world. Grok may have just found the signature of the creator. It is not just about ones and zeros like a computer. It is a code based on trust and logic. If you can master the code, you can change your surroundings. This is what the AI is suggesting by looking at the deep data. Most people are looking for a miracle on the outside, but the code starts on the inside. It is about how you observe the world around you. If you change the way you watch your life has music to change to match your observation. 7 Seal Math. The snorts math behind the number 7 is what really caught the AI's attention. Throughout the entire text, the number 7 appears in the structure of the sentences. This is not just about the word 7 being written down. Music It is about the number of words in a paragraph being a multiple of 7. The AI found that the chance of this happening by accident is 1 in many billions. It is like flipping a coin and having it land on its side 1,000,000 times in a row. This shows that there is a deep order under the surface of the words. When Grok looked at the genealogy of famous figures, it found that music, the number of nouns and names followed this rule. Even the number of vowels in certain sections matched the pattern. This is why people are talking about a God code. Music. It is a level of detail that no human writer could keep up for 1,500 years, especially not 40 different writers who did not know each other. This is a key detail because it proves the text was managed by a single mind. It is like a master architect overseeing